Hey guys, this is Echo Soundworks with ADSR, and you are checking out a first look video for a new effect plugin called Punish. It's made by Heavyocity. So I'm going to talk rather quick here in the introduction of this video because I want to get to showing you how this affects elements in the mix and your mix as quickly as possible. So if you just want to skip ahead of that, skip ahead a couple minutes. So Heavyocity is a company that's probably really well known in the film score cinematic world for making some really cool, interesting contact libraries. So if you're a hip-hop producer or a EDM pop producer, you may not have heard of them, but they've been around for quite a while. And I believe this is their first venture into the plugin world. Now, this plugin works with every major DAW. I'm using it in Logic Pro X. And it costs, right now, it's on special, $199. And you can, I think the regular price is going to be like $249. And my initial reaction when I saw the price was like, dang, that's pretty spendy for a kind of like a market as like a, it's kind of like a glue compression type plugin. But the cool thing about Punish, now that I've been using it for a while, is it has a couple modules within its kind of rack unit here that I'm going to probably use quite a bit just on individual elements within a mix. So this plugin is definitely aimed for mixing and mastering. And it's a combination of, it's like an effect rack. You have a compressor, you have a saturation section, a transient shaper, an equalizer, and a limiter. And then this really cool, God, I could look at that for hours, the Punish knob. So it's about 4 or 5 effects in one, but the limiter and the equalizer are admittedly very basic. So I would say it's, how I'm looking at it, I really like how the console section on the compressor sounds, and I actually really like the saturation section, and I'm loving the transient shaving. So you have those 3 things that you can independently just use on one instance of your track. Maybe you want the console compression on like a snare, or maybe you want the transient shaper on a bass, that sort of thing. You can do that. So as a whole, I can see myself using this on a wide range of applications. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to run through the interface real quick, and then I'm going to start using it in the mix of this track that I have here. So first things first, you have the compressor. Now, the compressor has 3 different algorithms, and I'm just going to touch on what I think are really cool about these different sections of Punish, because I'm not going to go through every little knob here. So the really interesting thing to me on this compressor, there's a couple of them actually, is it has these 3 different algorithms. Console, which is formatted or emulated after a large format console like an SSL or a Neve. Then you have Modern, which is probably an in-your-face, very fast style compressor. And then Classic, which could be either tube or opto. I'm not sure what the algorithm is. But it has basic controls for a compressor: threshold, ratio, attack, release, that sort of stuff. But the real cool elements to this compressor outside the choice of 3 different algorithms is this sidechain and this high pass filter. So like on a drum bus or on a kick even, it's really easy and quick to dial in, okay, I don't want it compressing under a certain frequency with the high pass filter, which I really like. And then also the mix knob effectively makes it like a parallel style compression right there just on the module. Now moving over to the right, we have a saturation section, and saturation is one of those things that can be very subjective, and you have 3 different saturation algorithms here. You have vintage, you have modern, and you have tube. Now vintage is probably harkening back to like tape saturation, where you overload the signal of the tape. It gets kind of like a compression / distortion sound. Modern, I'm assuming, is some type of shaping application like a sine shaper, parabolic shaper, or it could just be real clean, modern distortion. We'll listen to it in practice here. Then we have the tube, which is obviously harkening back to tube. Now these controls for the saturation section are pretty basic. I'm not going to cover those. Now moving over to the transient, we're going to turn it on here, and you can turn each module off by just clicking on the light. But the transient, if you don't know what a transient shaper is or a transient designer, it basically allows you to control how much or how little you hear the real transient rich sections of a sound. So think of like a kick or a snare. You can have like the initial tack phase of it pop out into your mix a little bit more using a transient shaper. And I think this is a pretty musical transient shaper, to say the least. Now moving over to the right, you have an equalizer, which is really basic. You can be pre or post. You don't even have to have it on if you don't want. And then finally, to kind of glue everything together, you have a limiter. So one thing I do want to talk about real quick is this punish knob. Now, the punish knob, if we do we'll do a full reset here, we'll do initialize. You see that when I'm moving this punish knob, right, taking this big arrow, see these little lines on these red, they look like basically modulation lines here. You see that little black line moving? That's saying that this punish knob is controlling those different elements. So you can click edit, and you can see that the punish knob is assigned to these 3 different parameters here. So on like a mix bus, a drum bus, a bus of all of your synths, this is really fun to play with. I've really been liking this. This is really interesting and kind of cool. So automating this into the mix is really fun because it's essentially automating modulation, which always gets some crazy results. So let's and I'll show you what that sounds like on the mix. So let's just turn on the let's turn on punish on my master bus here, and we'll go to mastering, and we'll do fire in the hole. Well, before I do that, let me actually play this track real quick so you can kind of hear what it's all about. Right, so it's like a hip-hop dance style track. All right, let's turn off my normal chain on my master, and let's get back to punish. And let's listen to this fire in the hole. And as I'll change the preset here. And you can hear that this is effectively, if we look at this, it's kind of like a mix knob for the compression, as well as the equalizer. So that's what's going on there. Let's go back to mastering, and we'll do light push. I like the sound that it imparts. This is a chain. If you guys watch my videos, this API 2500 Sausage Fattener Fab Filter Pro limiter, and then the multimeter. This is a chain I use all the time when I'm working on a track, just so it's commercially loud while I'm working on it. And if we look at my multimeter of what's going on with that, and this is pretty stupid loud because I'm at -6.5. RMS right now. So if we look at this though with punish, I'll turn these off and we'll drag the multimeter under punish. Let's listen to this. All right, so it's not as loud, but it does impart some real nice character to it. So what I might do is blend this with what's going on in my actual master chain here. So I'll have the compressor on. I'm going to turn the mix down to like 20%. Let's turn the transients down, turn the limiter off, and just keep the EQ and compressor on. And I'm going to have it hit punish first before my chain. And let's go into the chain real quick. And let's turn, that's not that loud. Let's make sure the sausage fattener wasn't above like 10%. I'll turn it down low. I'm going to turn the threshold down, and let's turn the punish knob down a little. And let's see if that's clipping the actual mix. So I'm just turning some things down here on the final thing. And I like the sound it imparts. It adds some nice warmth to it. Let's change the compressor module to console. as I have it set now, it's not really affecting my RMS or my LUFS values too much, which is like the overall perceived loudness. So if I turn this off and then on, it just has some nice glue to it, and this is kind of like a glue plugin. So you guys might be seeing this on my mastering chain here, or my kind of master bus chain, I should say, moving forward in some of my videos, because I do like this sound a lot. I don't know if you can hear that on YouTube. Hopefully you can. It's adding some nice high-end, it's like pseudo analog warmth, which I'm really digging. So, and I have the mix and everything quite low. So let's actually take the output down and let's turn the mix down. See, I dig it on that type of application. All right, let's go into some actual elements within the mix here. Let's look at my drum bus that I have set up. So this is okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and let's go through some of the different drum presets here and see how they sound. Oof. That one just destroys them. That's kind of interesting. Let's turn the mix down to about 30%. All right, let's listen to that in the mix. Kind of like that one. I really like just how if it imparts a nice little character to it. I can just turn the mix down just to get some of that. Right? So, I mean, there's some crazy presets in here that will make some very tame music and drums or whatever you're using sound really huge. All right, so let's actually turn Punish off on my drum bus and let's dive into the actual track level here, and we'll do some transient shaving here just on this snare. So turn the sustain up. Let's turn the attack all the way up so you can hear what this sounds like. Right, so if I turn the attack down, have the sustain all the way up, it's gonna like let a little bit of the attack through, and then kind of like this gated type sound. Let through the sustain, which is kind of cool. So by turning down the mix of this, I'm basically having like this pseudo gated type snare. Let's hear how that sounds with the drums. All right, let's turn the attack back up to about 2-3 decibels. And we'll turn the hold up as well. All right, so that's kind of cool. I actually like that on a track level. Let's go into one of the basses. And let's load up an instance of Punish and see if it can make the bass kind of crazy or just tame some things or bring out some life. So let's try Blown Clown. Oof. This is dirty. I actually like that one for this bass. Ooh, I love that one. So I'm gonna turn the mix down and let's bring Punish back into the actual whole mix here. On my master bus, we have it on this one bass, and let's make sure it's still on the snare, which it is. So there's 3 instances of Punish in this mix right now. Let's listen. right, and the last thing I want to try it on is this Voxa. Well, Voxa, it's actually not currently in a Voxa. I know a lot of you guys use a Voxa. It's coming out in an expansion of Voxa, but let's throw on Punish here on this patch that's doing the vocal sound. So Heavyocity, Punish, and let's load up one of the vocal presets and see how those sounds. I know this isn't like a typical vocal preset, but let's just try it. Really like that one. Let's try another. Let's try one of the guitars or keys and synth. So I really liked some of the vocal presets on it. Let's try an amp one. I actually kind of like that. So the presets on Punish a lot of them are quite musical, even though we're dealing with things like compression, saturation, and all that. But it is a really cool plugin, guys. It is definitely something that I think I'm going to be using a little bit more, especially on my master bus. I love the sound that it imparts. So I don't want this video getting too long. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm Echo Soundworks. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.